The views and opinions expressed on this podcast show are solely those of Everything's EHC's guests and hosts. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of the San Francisco Lighthouse for the Blind, Enchanted Hills Camp, or Masceo.net. Thank you for listening, and please enjoy the show.
Hello EHC, this is Kate. I've been involved with camp since 2014. My favorite activity at camp is riflery. I got to shoot my very first gun at camp, so that was pretty cool. My favorite meal at camp is the chicken Caesar salad wraps and the garbanzo bean soup, super fresh and delicious. My favorite place at camp would be Lower Camp because we lived there for a bit of time, Williamstown, and now here's a guy who's my husband and your host, Masceo.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate, so much for the nice introduction and the support for the past 7 years of my EHC career. Thank you. And welcome once again to another wonderful show of Everything EHC. This is part 3 of the
70th Anniversary Special Edition.
Thank you so much for joining us for this last part. Just a quick rundown. We're going to hear from our final CITs from this year. I've got a nice call coming in from the boss here in a few minutes. So we're going to talk about past, present, and future of EHC Camp. And at the very end, after we talk to the boss, I'm going to talk briefly about Music Camp, EHC Music Camp, and we have a premiere of the Camp Song collaboration from the Music Camp 2020 happening at the very end of this episode. So stick around. We got so many wonderful things happening and so much good information to share with our campers. Again, for listening, I just want to take a moment to reminisce. I can't help but think of how much I missed going to camp this year now that the summer is over and we're into fall. You know, something I look forward to, as I know all of our campers do every year so deeply. And in thinking about camp and how different each session is, from the adults to the teens to the youth to the family camp, even though they're all so different, they have so many similarities in the wonderful things that happen at camp. And, you know, I think about getting up in the morning, being a team member, saying good morning to everybody as our campers are gathering around outside. They're gathering in the dining hall by the coffee machine. We're getting coffee for our campers, and I'm talking, 7 in the morning. I'm an early riser, so I'm already up and around. We have a wonderful, beautiful breakfast, and it just wonderful, beautiful Napa Valley, California morning air. Then, we do our announcements and we head out for the morning. You got our horseback riders. We've got the people that go directly to the art room. We usually do boating in the morning, which is really nice. People like the boating, the bowling before it gets too hot outside bowling. Not too much in the Kiva because the enrichment area leader usually has one of those periods off. I would often do a Finding Your Voice where we would scream into the woods, or a little drum circle, just to get the blood flowing in the morning. Then, after all of these wonderful morning activities, people are just buzzing. Oh, I forgot about nature. The people that hike. Oh my goodness, they're just out there ready to go. They got their closed-toed shoes and their bug spray and their sunscreen on, their water bottles. They're ready to hit those trails at Enchanted Hills Camp. Absolutely a wonderful activity, walking through the beautiful redwood trees in Enchanted Hills. And then we come together for lunch, people gathering, talking about their morning. It's starting to get hot, and we come to our our most popular afternoon activities would be the pool, I would say. Usually archery can happen in the afternoon, which is super popular. People back at the Hogan and the art room. And then, of course, OJ Radio usually kicks off, and that is super popular. A bunch of people in the OJ Radio room playing music for the entire camp. It's such a wonderful, wonderful experience. All of these things going on. You have people who love the Kiva, who love the horses, who love the art room. They're there all the time. Then you have the campers who want to experience it all. So then we come together for dinner, have some nice announcements, and then there's always an evening activity, whether it's the talent show. There's free night where we do open the pool for night swimming or night boating. I've played guitar out there. We show a movie, an audio described movie. For the teens and the youths, we do things like scavenger hunt and the Man Jam, which is a dance competition, which is super fun. Shout out to Man Veen for creating the Man Jam. So many, many, many wonderful activities. The spirit of camp, although centered around blindness and visual impairment, is just a side note to all the wonderful things that are happening, because it's all accessible. We're able to do everything together. Nobody's left out. It feels good. It feels nice. Long, tiring days, working with the same team members, lack of sleep. It has its challenges overall that don't get mentioned too often, but the reward is so, so, so beyond the challenges that happen. How about that for reminiscing about Enchanted Hills Camp? Happy 70th anniversary. We wish we could have been there experiencing those things this summer, but that's okay. We were able to do some virtual stuff, had a lot of good fun connecting with folks, and we have so much to look forward to in the future. And it's about that time in the show where we should hear from one of our CITs.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm from San Jose, California. I was a CIT this year. I think my all-time favorite thing to do at camp is hang out with the horses. My favorite meal is the homemade cookies. My favorite place in camp is anywhere where my friends are. Happy 70th year anniversary, EHC.
Thank you so much, Zach. Another nice young man, a part of EHC. Counselor in Training is the program. We heard from Jamie Gump in part 2, who is the leader of that program, and there's a great team of people that work with campers that transition into being counselors. Okay, we got another caller coming into Everything EHC 70th Anniversary Podcast. Let's see, who do we got here on the call? Hello.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Fletcher, Director of Enchanted Hills Camp, calling from San Francisco, California.
Tony Fletcher, thank you for joining us on this 70th Anniversary Podcast. So nice to have you. It's been a unique summer. I've seen you virtually a lot this summer. It's been quite a different experience. But we've been talking about the past and the present and the future. So let's just get right to the meat of the matter and ask you to just give us a little bit of a brief history of how Enchanted Hills Camp came about, right from the director, everybody. Here we go. What do you got?
Well, I'm happy to respond. I mean, I was hired by the woman who was the founder of the camp, Dr. Rose Resnick. She purchased the property in 1950, in February of 1950, and had summer camp that very same summer. She purchased 340 acres at the time. We let go of a few acres back in the 60s. We're at 311 acres, but it's been going nonstop since. So 70th year, and COVID-19 was the first one to keep us physically off the property overall.
Right. So in that 70-year span, you're telling me there's been camps every summer at EHC?
Every summer. So many different camps too. When Rose started the camp, it was really focused on youth. And of course, here we are today.
At our favorite place to be.
With youth and family camps and blind babies family camp, deaf blind session, teen session, music camp, science camp, so many other camps that I don't think Rose really dreamed it up at that time. She just wanted a place for the kids to go to learn independence and connect with nature instead of sitting on their hands all summer long waiting to go back to the school for the blind.
Right. And that is a huge part of what EHC is about, is the history. When we go through our training at the beginning of the summer, you take us to the lighthouse in San Francisco and you show this wonderful film that was made. What year was that made? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I believe that's around 57. Irene Dunn is the narrator of the film. Sometimes we show the 5-minute version, sometimes we show the feature, which is 30 minutes. And it was used as more as a public service announcement. Rose used it and Nina used it when they would go out and give presentations about the camp to help with fundraising. But it's really interesting to me to watch the film and see how much is still the same. And what Rose was dreaming of in 1950 with, learning about how to swim, learning how to use manual arts, using your hands to create things. And of course, you and I both know music was such a big part of camp for Rose as being a musician herself. And that's still very much part of what we're doing at camp today. So a lot of the stuff is similar, and the physicality of the camp hasn't radically changed. The trees have grown tremendously since that time. And we've repurposed some of the buildings, and we will continue on that. But the essence of camp that Rose wanted for independence and connecting with nature, still very much the theme.
It stood out to me. The first time I saw it, it had a huge impact on me because it showed how much history there is in camp and how much similarities there are even between the campers then and now, and how they feel about camp and what it does for them freedom-wise and feeling good, and the energy and the friend and the family. And it really made me want to make a lot more media for camp, knowing that camp is continuing on and we are all part of this wonderful history. And then the other thing that stood out to me is Rose is actually providing the music at the dances by playing the piano. The such deep roots in what's happening there. Seeing her provide such quality entertainment for so many wonderful youngsters really meant a lot to me to see those images a ton. Your history, how long have you been the director?
Well, I've been directing the camp for 22 years. I've just celebrated my 30th year with the Lighthouse.
Right, excellent. That's a nice longevity at the Lighthouse, working with so many wonderful people for so many years. Congratulations on that milestone. We're all about celebrating all the achievements, especially in this time of life. We got to look towards the positive things that are happening. And in the present, we had to do virtual camp this year. We've talked about that with Annalisa and Nurse Bill. We did virtual concerts. What were some challenges for you this year as a director trying to put all this together definitely in the last fleeting weeks, for sure?
Yeah. We made the decision in March to shelter in place and close down operations. That was mid-March. In fact, I was the last program at headquarters in the city that was still trying to fight through it. I had a job fair scheduled at headquarters for camp counselors, whether they wanted to be in a paid position or even volunteer. And I was fighting that all the way to the very end. And we canceled that on that Saturday. So the next thing we had to do is just, what does it mean to work from home? And so once we figure that out, then what does it mean to try to do some summer programming? Because I really didn't want the summer to go by without providing program. I had very little experience with Zoom or Facebook Live. Even though the agency itself had already been using the Zoom platform, many of us didn't take advantage of it. we would use just regular phone conferencing, just with your regular office phone and multi-party or something. So learning that stuff on the fly, probably with the biggest challenges is trying to brush up as quickly as we could on the technology. And I really do, I thank you, I thank Jamie, I thank numerous people in the organization that were just willing to share and just kind of figure it out as we're going along and helping each other out. And quite a few of our campers, gave us tips, especially the younger ones who got thrown into it with their schooling right off the bat and learning the different tricks. So that was probably the next step, was just trying to figure out how to deliver virtual programming. And then coming up with the actual programs themselves. Part of me felt like the adult stuff might have been a little bit easier because I had a lot of colleagues at the agency that work with adults all the time. The Lighthouse serves probably closer to 85% of our students are adults, older adults. Youth is a smaller portion. So we know how to work with adults, and then we just with curriculum design and stuff. So then just get into the platform. So that helped out rather early. And then working with you and with Julie Cabrera and Annalisa, figuring out what the kids wanted. And we put together a youth council, and we started taking their feedback right off the bat, things that they wanted. And then the whole virtual campfire series, which turned out to be really successful, that was just like a no-brainer, really. It's like, well, we can do a virtual campfire. I'll go up to camp, we'll start a fire, and we'll just get everyone on the Zoom platform. And when it was all said and done, we had over 1,000 participants during the summer when you count up all the different virtual people that participated.
Congratulations on a successful summer with those challenges. I felt like being part of some of the teams and being part of some of the music and kind of like doing what I like to do in camp, which is kind of being everywhere and connecting with the campers and providing quality entertainment and feel goods for the campers and our team members. I felt like it was successful 100%. I felt like you did a good job organizing it. Like you said, Jamie Gump and everybody just really wanted to do something for our campers, and I feel like we could tell that was happening by the feedback we were getting back from the campers and the things that we were doing. I certainly had fun reconnecting. It would have been a terrible summer, speaking personally for myself, if there was no reconnection of camp. I definitely got really depressed when I was supposed to be at camp for those weeks. And then, of course, there was the concert there with Bruce. That kind of, I already mentioned it, is pretty emotional. But all of this wrapping up to a pretty successful summer. And if we things that we can apply even next summer if we're even at camp, I would say.
Yeah, I think virtual programming is here to stay, no matter what. I've made the decision to continue the virtual campfires on the first Saturday of the month for October, November, and December. Keep the community connected that direction. I know you're doing some music programming.
I'm doing the third Sundays. Yeah.
Annalisa's jumping in and running virtual bingo on the third Friday of the month. Some of our folks, I'm connecting them to existing Lighthouse programs, whether it's fitness programs like Cup of Cardio, the workouts in the morning, or the meditation, or the yoga classes, or they can jump in. Mike Cole does the Business of Blindness discussion group on Monday, which is very similar to our Redwood Wraps session that we offered during the summer for the adults, just to talk about issues that impact blind folks' lives. So I'm trying to bring the community into the Lighthouse fold, the umbrella, knowing that what we do at camp is a little bit goofier and a little bit more playful for sure. The Lighthouse will not replace Enchanted Hills Camp summer programming, but I think in the meantime, it's a good placeholder for people to stay connected.
Yes.
And all of us are doing our part to make sure that our camp family is together. And your experience is similar at Masceo. You and I heard it oftentimes during the summer. A lot of our campers are facing isolation. If you're blind, you don't just jump in the car and go for a drive just to get a different, scenery or something. So I think our community gets impacted exponentially, harder than than the sighted community, to be honest. And the deafblind population, 5 times harder than the blind population. We're trying to figure out ways to do it. And so our surveys have gone out this last week to get people's feedback and input. But I do know a lot of folks commented that this really did break up the monotony. It helped with the isolation, and it helped keep our community together. And we really appreciate that feedback.
No, I appreciate it as well, as someone who considers himself part of that community. Thank you for having me on board with that. Thank you for letting me perform and reconnect with the campers, and I look forward to continuing that through the rest of the year and finding out what the future may hold for camp. Speaking of the future, can't make promises because we live in a crazy world, but let's just say when campers come back to camp physically, is there 1 or 2 things that they can expect that will be different?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, hopefully there's going to be a lot of things different. Some of it will be noticeable and some of it will not. The stuff that will not be noticeable right off the bat would be the new roofs. I mean, we're putting a new roof on the arts and crafts building. Actually, one part you will notice is that for those of us that have been up at camp, it's just a flat roof right on the Hogan. So it seems kind of, you're in a box. We're going to raise that pitch when we put the new roof on, create more of a little bit A-frame, give more space, and help with some of the lighting tubes that come in there. And that's going to feel different, but also it's going to have a new Class A fire retardant roof on top of it. We're doing the same with the lodge. We're doing the same with the Kiva. We're also making sure that the Hogan and the Kiva both have air conditioning and heat that works. The lodge, my hope and my desire, and I think we're going to pull it off, is that we're going to take the back deck area, the one that's closer to the stream by the redwoods, and enclose that with kind of an indoor-outdoor mesh to make it more of a place where people could gather. A little bit more three-season-like as a patio gathering. And we're also going to extend more of a patio in the on the southern side, the cement walkway side, the smoking area going up, that we're going to turn that into something that's more shaded where people could sit and gather right there and not be in the direct sunlight. So that'll be noticeable. But again, the roofs themselves, unless you notice the change in climate. Of course, the pool changing room will be all completed. That's supposed to be wrapped up this month, which will give a whole different experience for our swimmers and folks that just like to hang out down there. I'm really looking forward to getting the concerts back down there at the pool with, electricity's working and just comfort and new furniture down there. The other things that are going on up there at camp is we are going to replace the bridge that goes out to the island from the Fountain Lawn area. And with that, try to create a little bit of a slope just so the paddle boats can go under it without anyone banging their head. And that'll be nice. A nice new bridge. It should look good. We also expect the construction to have been in process down in Lower Camp where the old roller skating rink used to be. That's the next big major step going on down there. Whether or not those things will be finished by the time we're back up there in the summer, my belief is no, even though I know the ambition of the contractors is yes. One of the things I've observed over this last year, the year of 2020, is that the supply chains really have problems, like getting your materials on time. Whether it's the drivers, someone could have COVID-19 and they don't do their route that day, or people in factories making stuff. So the supply chain's a little bit slower, but we're ambitious with trying to get the Lower Camp off the ground and start building some more cabins down there and turn that old roller rink into a new building, which we're calling Forest Commons, which will actually have a kitchen and indoor-outdoor dining space that we can use as another program area. Will it be completed? I tell you, my odds think no, but their ambition is yes. But it'll be something for people to check out. That's for sure.
That sounds good to me. I heard everything you said, but the only thing that really stood out was air conditioning in the Hogan, air conditioning in the Kiva.
I know
What's
it.
going on? I also heard a rumor that the internet might be better.
Absolutely. We're undergrounding all of the electricity, all the power lines at camp. This is all in terms of trying to make camp as safe as possible from future fires and such. So as we're undergrounding all the power lines, we're putting in new fiber optics, and that should increase our ability for internet access tremendously. That trenching project, we just got the planning department to sign off on that. So the trenching actually begins either at the very end of this month or at the very start of October to start putting all those lines underground. So, we try to look at that as, since we're not physically up at camp, we got to use this time to do some of these major repair work. We're not renting the camp out to any other groups. We don't expect to have anyone back on the property as a group, rental group or a program group, until June of 2021, and that would be the lighthouse.
Excellent, excellent information for our listeners. I'm sure they're all very excited to hear this right from Tony, the director's own words. Thank you for sharing that future information. There also will be fishing in the lake. They've been talking about it all summer long. There have been bass and lots of things in the lake. Of course, predators and birds have been coming to eat the fish. Big Ben's up there trying to shush them all away.
We seem to be stable. We expected our population to be about 3 to 5 times larger than when we put the fish in August of 2019. It seems to be kind of at status quo. So between the herons and raccoons and stuff, I guess the bass are supposed to spawn as much as 5 times a year. So as long as we stay status quo, we use catch and release, that's the key. They're anxious. I think the first folks who come up and fish are going to have absolutely no problem catching.
It'll be a good time.
They'll smarten up by the end of summer, but catch them early.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I appreciate you joining us on the call here for this Everything EHC momentous occasion, 70 years. It's unfortunate that we weren't able to do our big party like we were planning. We just look forward to the future of getting back up to camp at this point, and celebrating just being back with each other in the physical context of Enchanted Hills Camp. Before I let you go, I want to thank you for being here again. What is your favorite place on the 311 acres at camp? Where is your favorite spot at EHC?
And that does change, year by year. But I would say my favorite spot is the horse trail just after you get off the service road and you make the sharper right as you're going down to Wing Canyon and Sunrise Trail. That little path of travel there, I just love. And then it's tied equally with, once you cross the stream at Wing Creek down below at Wing Canyon, I do love the ferns and the redwoods down there. The fire went through that area, but it didn't damage it that severely, surprisingly, because it went through the canyon. But the trees themselves held up really well. And for those who have never had a chance, there's actually 3 different streams on camp that all converge down in Wing Canyon. And the water's been running year round, and that's a special place. I realize most people don't get a chance to access it. It's not easy to get down to. But you can usually find me there when I go up to visit camp on the weekends, and I take my break and go for a walk. That's the physical spot. And then, as you know, as well as anyone, program spot, swimming pool.
The pool. Tony's at the pool. He's on his break. Where is he? He's at the pool.
5 o'clock.
You like to do your swimming. I remember one of the first years I was down at the pool, you were doing your laps, and you swam for forever, dude. I was like, you must be tired. And you're like, I'm only half done. I was like, you're a beast.
I'm a turtle. I'm not fast, but I just keep going forever.
Exactly. All right. So, what is your favorite meal at camp?
I I still love pizza night. I can't get over it, especially when Matt Beard was making the pizzas. It's always been my favorite meal since I was a wee lad. I still have pizza on my birthday, no matter what age. So I think Matt Beard does a fantastic job with pizza night. That's still my number one.
He gourmeted up there the last couple of years. You know, you do your basic cheese and pepperoni for your basic eaters, but then he added some pretty crazy good recipes to make them gourmet with garlic drizzle, and there was all kinds of cool things. It's also noted that he makes his own mozzarella and their own dough, and they're making it all from scratch. So it's quite a cool accomplishment. Excellent choice. One of my favorite nights as well. And then finally, you've been the director all these years. You've seen so much programming with everything from the adults down to the youths. Give me one or two or even three programs that just bring you joy every year that you love.
Campfire, always, the way we do campfire is we have a loose outline and we fill it in just going with the vibe, who's going to be there, right? So because it has a loose outline structure, that means anything can kind of happen. So I do like that. That's always been one of my favorites for sure. I have a real soft spot for the talent shows. Of all groups coming up and doing the talent shows. I know that when my kids come up to visit during the summer, they usually try to time it so they can also watch a talent show. It doesn't matter what age. So I would have to put the talent show right there with it also. And then it doesn't always happen, but I've always enjoyed the night swims.
Doing pillows.
I love swimming at night. I just love it. I really do. So many cool things. And one of the things too, Masceo, is that depending on the staff that's up there during the summer, sometimes something happens that only because those staff members were there, that's a one-shot deal. And so I don't like to, make it seem like people missed out because they weren't there for that one. Because there's always new staff coming and there's new cool things. But I would say the skill set of, area leaders and counselors that we've had over the years, there's always something special that takes place every summer. That's just because of the talent pool that we have up there. And I do always look forward to those unique experiences each summer. And that's why I think people come back, because you have to balance the tradition, which we all want, desire, but you always want a little tweak, something that's just something we haven't done before. You've done it with, your podcast, for example, and radio and doing things like that. Just something that's different than what they've had before. So I think the unique experiences, can never predict what's coming, but plenty of them resonate really deeply with me as being really fun and glad we had them that summer. I encourage everyone to sign up and come back to camp. We try to make sure the economic barriers are as low as possible. The agency invests a lot of money. Of course, they spend a lot of money on youth. There should be no monetary obstacle for kids going to camp. That's truly the spirit of what Rose wanted to have happen. But even for affordability for adults and for family camps and music, everything like that, it's a very affordable alternative for taking a vacation. And the staff is fantastic. Most of them have, gone to camp themselves. So there's that real passion and commitment from our staff to make sure everyone's experience is as wonderful as the experience that they've had. So thanks for having me on today and sharing about camp. And anyone wants to reach out, they can connect with me at tfletcher@lighthouse-sf.org, or go to the Lighthouse webpage and find out about Enchanted Hills Camp, and we'd love to connect people. Thanks for having me today.
No, thank you, Tony, for joining us. I'm sure our listeners are overjoyed to hear you not only share all the wonderful things you said, but just to hear you talk about the future of camp and what we have in store, what we have to look forward to, as always, every summer with camp. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing and taking time out of your busy life there in San Francisco. I'd like you to take an opportunity to, finish your little call here by wishing Enchanted Hills Camp a happy 70th anniversary.
EHC, you are the place to be. Happy 70th anniversary, and really looking forward to many, many more years and summers to come. And I plan in some way, in some fashion, whether I'm the director or whether I'm volunteering or whether I'm a donor, to stay connected with this organization for the rest of my life.
Excellent, Tony. Thank you for your love and passion and hard work for EHC. Thank you for connecting with us all summer long and letting me be a part of it as well. You're a great friend and a good boss. I've always said it. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And Enchanted Hills Camp, loves you very, very much. I can hear it through all the campers all summer long about how much we enjoy our director at Enchanted Hills Camp. So it's been a blessing having you here. Thank you very much for joining us, Tony.
Masceo, signing off. Take care. We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right.
Oh my goodness, so much great information from Tony on that call. Thanks again, Tony. I can't wait till next summer. I just can't. And I know the rest of you can't either. How about if we hear from our last CIT from the group?
Hello, I'm Monsi. I'm from Seaside, California, and I was a CIT this year. My favorite camp activity is anything to do with the Kiva, OJ radio, or just playing the instruments there. My favorite meal at EHC, I think, are the burritos. My favorite location at camp, I honestly cannot choose. Okay, I'm gonna have to say the year, just because there have been a lot of good memories in the year, so yeah. And I'd also like to wish happy 70th anniversary to Enchanted Hills Camp.
Excellent. Thank you, Monsi, and all the counselors in training for joining us for this special edition of Everything EHC. They also did this fun thing here. Check this out. They all did this together.
Happy 70th anniversary.
So fun, right? That they all did that together. Thanks again to our counselors in training 2020. Music camp has been part of my life for the last several years. We had the Music Academy where I got to be an assistant. And then in 2018 and 2019, Lawrence Brown and myself took it over as co-directors. And then this year I did it virtually with over 20 campers. We broke it up into 2 groups, had a wonderful time. Songwriting workshop virtually. We had new campers, we had old campers, we had just a really nice time getting to know people, the kind of music that they like to play, the kind of music that they like to listen to. And that all culminated into a bunch of us getting together and collaborating on the camp song. And it was a super awesome experience to just have some folks record some tracks over a track that I did, and we have a super nice 2020 version of the camp song, the EHC Camp Song. This song features Venus and Mars Dickens, Diane Fisher, Diane Wetzel, Jessica Gladys, Jocelyn Gladys, Sky Mundell, myself, Macy Vorreiter, and Alex Krauth. I'd like to thank the Lighthouse for the Blind, San Francisco, Enchanted Hills Camp. I'd like to thank my guests, Annalisa from Part 1, Nurse Bill from Part 2, and of course Tony Fletcher from this part and Part 3. All the CITs. Don't forget to check out Masceo.net, Masceo.net. And I am almost 100% sure that we will have some episodes of Everything EHC Summer Fun podcast in 2021 season. Yes, I look forward to that. Finding a way to do some more podcasting with our campers, with our staff. You got it. So there you go. I hope you all enjoyed these episodes. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks again to my wife. Thank you, EHC. Happy 70th anniversary, Enchanted Hills Camp. We love you very much. So many more years to look forward to. And now, if you'd like to sing along with us, please enjoy the debut of Enchanted Hills Music Camp 2020 collaboration of our very own historic camp song. EHC is the place to be.
EHC is place to be.